because grieving and experiencing loss, I think, is so draining on your body, on your mind, on your soul. Like, it's hard. So even more important probably when you're dealing with loss, to just have those moments of quiet and, maybe even go get a massage,
Oh gosh, yes. And well, I have a question about the guilt, because have you ever found yourself like feeling guilty about any emotions that you have felt since your dad has passed? Like, has there been a moment where you feel guilty because, you're laughing or you're not feeling sad? I'm wondering about that.
Yeah, I felt really, I'm doing better with it now, but I felt really guilty because, my sister, my mom, and I were right at his side when he passed away, like right next to him. And it kind of went on for a few days because it was lung cancer, so it was a lot of giving him medicine to help him be comfortable. And as his body was, slowing down and not really working anymore, you had to, he was in a bed and you had to change his position to be comfortable. He had to take medicine. And it really did require like a hospice nurse and my mom and my sister and all of us kind of taking turns to check on him and be with him. And he really was not coherent towards the end. Like, he couldn't speak or open his eyes or anything like that. And so I think what I struggle with sometimes is that it's really a beautiful thing to be right with someone you love when they take their last breath and be there for them. For me, though, what I struggled with is that I couldn't get that image out of my head sometimes, and I would fight with myself, like, to remember the times when he was alive and like the good times. And I felt guilty because I knew that my father wouldn't want it that way. Like, he wouldn't want me to remember him dying and that trauma that I was experienced from watching him die. That's not what he would want. So I felt kind of guilty that I couldn't control that, and at the same time, I would say, like, maybe I shouldn't have been there for that. Maybe I should have just came, like, after he died and came for the service. Like, I didn't know if I did the right thing. And I think sometimes still I even question it because it's a little traumatizing to be there for someone when they pass away. It's like you want to be there, but it's hard to get past it. I don't know if I'm clarifying it real well.
No, I'm following you, and I can only imagine. I actually made a conscious effort. Like, I too visited my dad as he was lying on his bed when he was in the nursing home the night before he passed away. I flew in from out of town, and I remember making a conscious effort to not be in the room, like, because to me, I was like, I don't know if I want. It seemed like very overwhelming to me to be there with his last breath. Whereas my mom, who was a nurse, she would have been okay with it. She too wasn't there. We had left for the night. But, I think that's just like with meditation, like you were saying, I don't think there's a right or wrong about it. It's really up to you and for you to be present with him and to have that image. That's just our brain's natural way of holding on to the image of that person. And what do you do when that image pops up, or what do you say to yourself now? Is it different than how it was before when it first happened?
Yeah, you know what I ended up doing that it did help, is I made a collage. I took this old like piece of wood that was like really long, kind of like a interesting shape, not like your normal shape that a picture would be. And I don't even know where I got it from. I think I was thinking of painting on it because I originally started out painting on wood. So I had this like big thing of wood that I thought I would paint on, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to paint on this. I'm going to find every single picture of my dad that I really love, and I'm going to make a collage, and I'm going to strategically put all the pictures, like, and then I had it framed, and I hung it in my living room over this piece of furniture that we have made, and on that piece of furniture is a record player where our vinyls are, and my dad gave me all his old vinyls and stuff. So it's almost like a little bit of like a shrine to him.
Yes.
But it's in our living room. It looks really nice and makes sense, and it works. And I do, like, I'll think of him and I'll turn over and I'll look at it and I'll stare at every single picture. And it kind of can make me cry sometimes and I get upset. But I think it does ultimately make me feel better, because that helps me with remembering all those good times and I think I just needed to do that for myself. So that was like one of the things I did to help. Yeah.
What a beautiful tribute. Oh my goodness.
I'll take a picture of it one day and show you.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I would love, and I like how it's hanging, or it's right near the records that are his. That, you know, so it's just that immediate reminder. And, you know, even as we're reminded of our loved ones, you're right. Like, there are some times when you might cry and you know, you're brought to tears. And there are other times you may look at the picture and you might smile.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it. It's like our emotions are constantly changing, and we never know how we may respond to, you know, those reminders.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, thank God for pictures, honestly.
Yeah.
Pictures are so important. I have a couple of friends that just hate taking them, and I'm like, you have to take pictures and be in them. Don't worry about your hair. Just take the pictures.
Right. Just get over it.
Your
This is a
loved
memory.
ones your loved ones will thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, and we were talking about creativity. Clearly, that was very creative. Is there anything else that you've taken up that's really exercised that creative part of your mind in your healing process?
Well, yeah, I never even knew that I liked to paint at all. I never painted. I never could even draw like a stick figure, ever. And around the time that my dad got sick, it was so weird. But around the time that he got sick, I had this incredible urge that I felt like I had to do something with my hands. It was the weirdest sensation. Like, I couldn't shake it. I was like, why do I constantly feel this enormous urge to do something with my hands? And I just didn't know what to do with myself. And so I guess I got an idea of, I'll buy like an old piece of furniture and I'll repaint it. And I'll see if that's, you know, if I like that. I think I was trying to find ways to relax, to just do something that would be relaxing. And like, so that's how I started.
Very intuitive process.
Yeah, it was strange. So I think, you know, I just went out and I got a piece of old furniture, and, you know, I sandpapered it, I repainted it, I distressed it. It came out really, really cute, too. And I actually ended up selling it and I paid $25 for it, and I think I sold it for like $100-something.
What?
And then I realized, like, oh, maybe I should, you know, do more of that. So that's when I realized I really liked painting. And I mean, I'm still like, you know, I still have a lot to learn as far as painting goes. I mean, I've sold a few pieces, but I look at like other artists and I'm like, oh Lord, like that's amazing. Like, I'm not there yet, you know?
Okay. However, I will say to the listeners, y'all, she's incredible. So, like, for somebody who just picked it up, like, that's just so impressive. You know, but the fact that, like,
well, thanks.
Yeah.
I recommend it to anybody who's looking to just do something that makes them just feel nice and relaxed. Just paint yourself a beautiful picture. Just get a canvas.
I know that's right. Y'all go get some canvases.
Yes. Or do what I do and just get a block of wood.
Furniture,
That's how I
right,
started.
or wood, yeah. Everything is fair game.
Yes.
That is funny. And I'm just, as a side note, I don't know if you can hear what's going on, but they're like doing some work on the side of the house. So I apologize if you can hear like nail guns and everything. Because of course.
Oh no, I was.
Of course they do it at this time.
I was worried you hear my dog barking.
No,
I don't hear it.
But we digress. Yeah, so that's really cool though, just to know that, you know, you didn't have to do something. years ago or have all this experience to pick it up out of the, what is seemingly out of the blue. I think there's just probably something that's there dormant, that, again, your mind and your body knew that was going to be something that was peaceful and calming for you. Let me ask you this. Who have, if anybody, who have you chosen to talk to about, losing your dad? Who has been that person that you've relied on? It could be a professional or a loved one, a friend, but I'm just curious, who has been helpful for you to talk to?
I'm really grateful that I have my sister, because her and I are able to really talk about it a lot. So I'm thankful to have her. But to be honest with you, I probably should, be like regularly meeting with someone like you, to be honest.
I don't see friend. I'm just like,
because I still have some turmoil, and I think it's just an ongoing process. So yeah, it's important to have somebody, so right now at this juncture, I just talked to my sister, and I'll talk to Dale too, my husband. But that's really it. I mean, I guess it's funny now that you asked me that, I'm kind of thinking to myself, wow, I do hold a lot inside. Yeah, and that's probably not a great thing.
Well, no judgment, and sometimes, well, you have to really take your time, and it is your process. So whereas some people might come immediately into therapy after a loss, some people might take 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 years, just because, you continue on with life. You have a family, you continue on with work, you just keep pushing, and then you get to a point where you realize, wait, maybe it might be helpful to talk to a professional who's trained in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
and
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, I have been thinking that maybe I should regularly speak with someone, because you don't realize sometimes how much you're carrying, I guess, inside of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just hitting me now. I'm like, oh, well, I think I just had an epiphany now. I'm like, what? I've been keeping a lot inside.
Well, yeah, and again, I'm glad you could have an epiphany during this process. But that's really what it's about. Like, even connecting with people and talking about your story out loud sometimes just helps you make those connections of, oh, wait, I have been carrying around a lot of shit. Sorry but I mean, we do, and we forget how heavy it becomes because we just get so used to it.
Right.
And it's okay to reach out.
Right. And I think probably too, I think everybody is probably afraid of being a burden, so they don't want to talk too much about something that's painful for them because they think that they're bothering, So that's the other, that's probably a whole other show.
Potentially. But I will just say this, just, in worrying about that, we continue to stuff it all in, and so we become a burden almost to ourselves, right? And for me, when I think about emotions, they're all a call to action, a call, they're there to listen to. And if we say, okay, well, we can't tell our loved ones about it, I got to just keep it all in, well, those emotions are at some point going to be heard somehow, some way. So, I'm glad that it triggered that thought process in you of maybe I could benefit. And the cool thing is, we can just get online and see somebody. You don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. I always forget that. That's very true.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so, that's so weird because actually as I'm thinking about the action plan, right? So the T is for talk, but the next one is introspection, and we just saw it live and in person, right? Like, that introspection just happened, maybe I could benefit. even in thinking about that, was there any other introspective, or were there any other introspective